Hey guys, welcome back to Critical Flick. Today I'm going to review Bardo, coming soon to Netflix. So Bardo, fully titled Bardo False Chronicle of a Handful of Truths, is the newest film from Alejandro Inarritu. His last two films were some of my favorite films that have come out in the past few years. Birdman with Michael Keaton was excellent. The Revenant is a career-defining film. The cinematography, the acting from Leonardo DiCaprio, everything was on point, so I was so excited to see what his next project would be. And I have to say right away, this film is absolutely nothing like those last two movies. While I did enjoy this movie, it is extremely experimental. It's a strange film. It really lacks any kind of narrative structure, because in this film we are following the story of a Mexican journalist who is traveling back to Mexico City because he's going to be receiving an award in Los Angeles for his work from American journalists, and he wants to kind of get back to his roots, kind of build a documentary about his past, some of his experiences, and it really is just a bunch of kind of dream sequences put together. There are some grounded moments in this movie, but where it really excels are these just totally off the wall, bizarre, almost lucid dream-like state sequences that I think are so well shot, so well executed, and so creative. But as a whole, the movie just kind of feels like I said, it's just a bunch of scenes. It doesn't feel like it has any kind of narrative thread. You can definitely tell that this is a very personal movie for the director. It feels very personal, and it almost feels like it is kind of his mind spilling onto the screen. And I think that is why it kind of lacks that structure, because Bardo, the title of the film, actually means kind of the state between life and death. So throughout this film, we're seeing a character kind of have their life in a way flash before their eyes before kind of an ending act where things kind of progress a little bit more. And I do think when you look at it through that lens, it makes the movie much more interesting, but it is kind of a rough watch. It being almost 3 hours long and just being like a bunch of really bizarre scenes. I can see how some people would absolutely hate this movie. It does wade into that pretentious territory, but I think overall it is kind of a feast for the eyes to watch this. It's like a feast for the senses in general. There's some really powerful imagery, whether it be a group of migrants traveling to the United States trying to get through the desert to escape some of the plagues, famine, and crime of their villages. It's just a mass of humanity, and there's so many big, huge scenes like that. There's one scene in particular towards the end of the film where we see Cortez, the conqueror of the people of Mexico, the indigenous people, over top of a pile of bodies having this conversation with this journalist. And it's such a powerful imagery. And this movie talks a lot about kind of your vision of the world and the world that you've created. And if that's a actual genuine representation of the things that are existing in your own history, it dives really deep. This movie is extremely dense, and it has a ton of layers to it. It's a movie that I would like to revisit in the future, maybe break it into, a couple hour increments before I try to watch the whole thing again. There's just so much to take away. And like I said, some of the scenes are just so creative. One in particular, he's in a bathroom speaking with his father, and he is his full adult self, but kind of shrunken down as a child with like a big head. And it's just really weird. But there are some powerful moments about kind of your experiences in life and you trying to relive those and kind of understand who you are as you come to grips with kind of your own fate. And obviously with all these really big, impressive scenes, the cinematography is excellent. He always has excellent cinematography. We have some of those kind of trademark shots where we're following characters around in kind of a long take. But I think the thing that just really hurts the movie, and a lot of movies like this, it just is so hard to get past, is that real lack of a real story and of a narrative that just kind of moves you along. It's really difficult to follow a film that doesn't have a story like this. You're just seeing individual scenes play out, and while they may look beautiful, be well acted, it's hard to be invested as the audience if you don't know where you're coming from or where you're going with the story. So all in all, if I were to rate Bardo, I would give it a solid 7 out of 10. I can see why some people might hate this movie. It feels like a movie that is kind of built for the director, for a direct audience when you're watching it. And I think if you go into it kind of trying to get into that headspace, it's really enjoyable. But if you go into it expecting something from him from the past, whether it be The Revenant or Birdman, you might be really disappointed and you might just really not like it. So if you end up checking out Bardo, let me know what you think about it. I really do want to see both ends of the spectrum because I do think it's going to be that kind of film. So remember to leave those comments down below, like and subscribe, and see you guys next time.